Midnight
Who's
Local?
that? Blast from the past.
You're on Midnight Local, the podcast from How to Drink, where we just talk about things.
Movies.
Pop culture.
Maybe some video games.
That too. All the things.
The things. The stuff and things.
All of the stuff and the things on Midnight Local.
Let's get to it.
Father!
Yes, Kato, the evil knight.
Do I want to come too? Of course I do. Good luck, Mio. Good luck. Face me, Kato. Your time has come.
You have defeated me, Prince Mio.
Today we're going to talk about a movie that only Meredith and I know anything about.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say is I love that we're coming back into this with a movie that like you can't find this on Amazon Prime. Like to rewatch it, I found it on YouTube.
Okay,
and,
well, that's really funny, and I'm going to tell you why in a second.
Why?
You have a DVD of it.
I do. I know I do. It's upstate. So I did not have access. I was up there for the 4th of July and forgot to bring it back down. So I had to find it.
Let's start the episode.
How did you know I had a DVD?
I'll tell you how I knew that. And
okay.
You'll be like, oh, right. Hey, guys, this is Midnight Local. I'm Greg.
And I am Meredith.
And we are here today, forever, talking to you about a movie that Meredith and I happened to grow up with called Mio in the Land of Far Away. And it's really, really weird to me that we both grew up with this movie.
Yeah, that was like a moment where it was like, "What, you?
Yeah.
You?"
Yeah.
And we had sort of a magical moment about this. I have like a Mandela effect moment with the title because I always knew it as just The Land of Far Away.
Yeah. Me too.
And so did you have the box cover with the kids on the horse and the sword that's like all lit up?
Probably, but I don't recall specifically.
Okay. So I pulled it up and on that box cover, it is just The Land of Far Away.
And so what's weird about us both knowing about this movie is that right now 99% of our audience has no idea what this movie is. And yet you and I both knew about it. And we grew up about 1,000 miles away from each other at like, you're a little younger than me. And it's very strange to have met another human who knows what this movie is. In the United States, which we're going to come to in a minute. Yes. So I guess I always thought it was The Land of Far Away. I grew up with it as The Land of Far Away. It is now in the U.S. referred to as Mio in the Land of Far Away. And in Sweden, it is called Mio, my Mio, or Mio, my son. Mio. Yeah, what a weird fucking movie this is. So you grew up with this, and so did I. I'm 99% sure that I got a VHS of this from my grandmother.
Okay.
Who was a lady who wore hats and shopped in the Hammacher Schlemmer catalog. And I'm wondering if this movie was distributed through the Hammacher Schlemmer catalog, because I gather that your mother is also a lady who wears hats.
Not really, but yeah. So I called my mom last night and I asked her if she remembered where it came from. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about for the first half hour. And so I went into like a long description of the movie. And she thinks that she found it at Blockbuster, like in a section of movies that were similar to like The Land of Far Away. And
this is The Land of Far Away.
Oh, sorry, not The Land of Far Away. Never-Ending Story.
I was thinking that last night while I was watching this on Edibles, is that like, I didn't grow up with the Never-Ending Story just because it missed me, but this was my Never-Ending Story.
This is your never. Yeah, I grew up. So I grew up with both. This is getting sorry. We're like going all over the place. A lot of the comments that I was reading about this was like, it was the worst Never-Ending Story.
Oh, by far.
See, I've revisited The Never-Ending Story, and it was a horrific experience for me to revisit that movie. I really enjoyed revisiting this movie. From a technical standpoint,
at least?
No, not from a technical... Fine, from a technical standpoint, maybe. But, like, I so much more enjoyed watching this movie again than watching The Never-Ending Story again. Like, if you have good memories of The Never-Ending Story as a kid, Do not revisit
I've never watched it.
Please don't.
I've never seen the Neverending Story.
Yeah.
I saw the sequel because it was like on TV or something, but I never saw the original.
I was so horribly, horribly disappointed going back to that movie. And I don't know. I had lots of good feels rewatching this movie. Yeah, it's like, it's not a technical marvel. It was made in 1987. If you want to go into I remember when we like discovered we both knew this movie, you had like a whole deep knowledge of like how this movie came to exist and the partnerships between countries and like, I'm not even going to try.
I don't know
I'm
that
going to
much
let you take it away.
I do want to stop and answer a question. How did I know that you have a DVD of it? Because we were working at Imaginary Forces together when I found out that you knew what the fuck this movie was, and you told me you had a DVD, and I said, I need to borrow it so I can ingest it to my movie server. And that's the only reason I have a copy. It's on my Plex. And I got it from you, and then I gave you back your DVD. So I don't feel bad about you having to watch it on YouTube. That's on you. But
good. I'm glad you're absolved.
Well, I mean, it's in your possession. It's not my fault. I don't know what to tell you.
I would never have thought to think it was your fault.
Everybody thinks everything is my fault. Okay. I am the Jesus of the internet.
Now this is your therapy. Yeah. That is your therapy.
I'm up here on this cross. It's funny. This is a total aside. I said, just so you know, I'm not being lazy. And you like replied like, Greg, I never think you're being lazy.
Yeah.
I constantly feel like I'm being lazy.
I
think that I do have clinical like workaholicism or whatever. Like,
yeah.
I always feel like if only I could put another 6 hours into this today. If only. Oh my God, I'm so lazy. As I'm going to sleep.
Sometimes I'm like, I wonder what Greg is doing. And then I reconnect with you a couple days later and it's like, oh, I redid all the screens in the studio. So now this one's mounted to the wall and this one's over here. And
There's
this
a lot
one's
of
over
that
there.
studio stuff too.
Yeah.
And now that I have a house, it's a lot of like, oh, I dug a big hole.
Yeah, right.
Oh shit. My basement was full of water again. Like there's a lot of that too. But there's many nights that I get into bed and Mrs. Had a Drink. I think I can use her name. I have to clear that with her. I'll be like, I should send you to bed and I should go back to the studio and film. And she's like, you need to sleep. Like normal people need to sleep. And I'm like, yeah, but successful people don't. Like, I really probably should not be taking it easy right now. And I hate grind culture, growth mindset shit because I think it's really toxic and unhealthy for people. But it's not 100% wrong. It's like,
I mean, just the maintenance of a YouTube channel is a lot of hours.
I don't mean that. I'm just talking about like if you really want to next level some shit, sometimes you do got to burn that midnight oil. Like I don't think it's good. I don't think you should, but I do think that there's like a little truth there, unfortunately. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I think multiple things are true at the same time. And I've had people tell me that's cognitive dissonance, and I don't think that. I think that's just growing the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, if you want to work, have time with your kids, work on your house. If you want to do all of those things for yourself, then yeah, you've got only so much time.
Only so much time. You got to pick something.
It's like there's like a mug or some shit that's like Beyonce also only has 24 hours in a day. And I'm like, yeah, Beyonce also has 500 people working for her.
Let's measure those hours in man hours.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, she can afford.
In a day.
Yeah,
it's true.
Exactly. So,
sorry. We should actually try to stay on Mio for a minute.
I thought, look, it's free.
That's true.
We don't have
New
a studio
format.
behind us. We
New
can
format.
do whatever
We're free.
we want.
No more golden handcuffs.
But I am excited about talking about this. So yeah, let's stay on it as much as we can.
So cast things real quickly. Only two people who jump out at me as names are obviously Christian Bale in his first feature film appearance.
Yes,
apparently. I didn't realize this was his first.
This is the same year though as Empire of the Sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got Christopher Lee in this movie, who I was so excited for him to show up, and then you see him, and it's just like, why did they put him in that wig? That's a very odd choice.
I mean, he was, let's see, he died. Yeah, he wasn't that old. He looks like he's in his 90s in this movie, but he was in his 70s.
Oh no, it's not even the age thing. Like they have him in like this stringy looking sea hag wig. It's very strange looking.
Well, he's an evil nut. He's evil.
I understand.
To make him look.
Yeah,
evil.
I get it. But like bald would have been better.
Yeah.
He just looks dirty or something. I don't know. And then
pretty gross. Pretty Crypt Keeper-ish.
And then the other person whose name I recognized is Timothy Bottoms, who plays the king. And I recognize it because it's a ridiculous name that I've seen in other things. Every time I see that name, I'm like, Timothy Bottoms. I have to say it like that. But I have no idea what I know that name from. I just know I've seen it around.
Nothing like jumps out as the thing I would know him from.
Yeah, this movie is Lindstrom is the writer, I think. And it's based on a book, Mio Min Mio. And she's also the person who wrote Pippi Longstockings.
Shut up. I have in my notes here. Okay, maybe that's how my mom came across it. That like I was going to ask you if you've ever seen it and if we should cover it on the show, because the like visceral reaction when this came on and the
Pippi.
music started playing, like I just fell into a puddle of childhood. And Pippi Longstockings I think would have the same effect on me, and it made me really, really want to watch it. Anyway. I didn't even look it up that this had any sort of connection to it, but I guess it totally makes sense that it does.
And she's like a big deal in Swedish literature for kids, I guess. And it was made between, if you look it up, it just says multiple companies, multiple production companies in Sweden. Gorky Film Studios, which is a Soviet Union film studio.
Right.
It's directed by a Soviet director, and it was produced using English actors, and it was shot in Sweden, in Scotland, in Crimea, in Moscow, and like a couple of other locations. So it was all over the place to make this movie. Actually, I found a quote from Christopher Lee talking about how horrible it was to work in Moscow. He said that they didn't start work until after lunch, and then it took hours to light a scene. And then by the end of, like, we would record like one take by the end of the day. And it looks like a movie that went with the first take a lot, I'll tell you. And he said it was just miserable.
Like, that's what we got.
Yeah, exactly. It's bad. It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Objectively, it is bad.
Sure. I'm going to give it
weird.
one. I'm going to give it one. I think the score of this movie is fantastic.
Oh, God, no. The ABBA?
Yes.
I like ABBA. It's just that one. No, it's just that one thing over and over and over again.
I love
written
it.
by two members of ABBA.
And then you've got
Performed
the
by
loop
Gemini,
music.
a Swedish pop band.
Is it written by two members of
Yeah,
ABBA?
I'm not
Is
making that
true?
up. That's a fact.
Oh, stop. See, I hold steadfast to that then. This score is fantastic.
They could do no wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you know what group from the 90s I think people often think about when they think about ABBA, because ABBA wasn't around anymore, is Ace of Base, because it's got that same kind of ABBA thing, and they were Swedish. Did you know that Ace of Base was a white supremacist Nazi band?
Yeah, I did. You've made me aware.
I like
of
to
that,
bring
yes.
that up every single chance I can. Actually, the lead singer is like, people are like, that's just a stupid rumor. You're seeing things that aren't there. Lead singer apologized for being a Nazi.
I looked it up. It's actually a thing. It's known.
Yeah, and so it was shot all over the place and weirdly dubbed. My wife, we were watching it last night. She's like, "Is this movie dubbed? Like Christian? That's Christian Bale. He speaks English." I was like, "Yeah, there's like a European style of filming where they just kind of like dub the shit out of everything.
Everything, yeah. Like they couldn't get on set
Yeah,
sound.
it's too
They're
expensive.
like, it's
Just
fine.
dub it.
Yeah.
Just dub it."
Ray made the same observation
Sergio
last
Leone
night.
of the spaghetti westerns, he was a maniac, and he would have actors from all these different countries, and he would give them their scripts in their own language and just say your lines in your own language. And the actors had no idea what they were saying to each other a lot of times. And then they would just dub it anyway. Yeah, what's the point? You just do whatever you're comfortable with, however you're going to do it best.
Yeah. Why not?
It feels like, watching it as an editor, it's like, man, this movie just was not edited. Like, it's a 90-minute movie, and 50% of it is unnecessary pauses at the end of takes.
Yeah. There's a moment where they sit down at the Well of Whispers and like there's this tableau of children like sitting, and it's like, now we're going to sit here and we're going to tell a story. And it's fantastic.
No film in the history of cinema has ever had more exposition.
Yes.
I'm being generous when I say that in this 90-minute film, perhaps 60 minutes are exposition.
So I remember as a kid, like this being like a castle adventure, and like that's the last 20 minutes of the movie. It was like all build up to the castle adventure.
Yeah. All exposition.
But there was a moment where they go in to get the sword made, and they're having a conversation with that man.
And there are still a few people who can forge weapons.
And then some action happens outside with Miramis, the horse, and the knight and the guards and whatever. And then they cut back into the cave, and they're like, so like I was saying before.
You said there were still people left who could forge weapons.
Blah, 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 blah. And we just died laughing.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely excellent.
Yeah, as I was saying.
Yeah, we cut away to that scene. So in case you forgot while you were watching this scene, let me recap what I was saying 3 minutes ago, or probably 30 seconds ago.
And like also like the whole beginning of the movie, it's all voiceover. And he just repeats the same thing over and over again. I wish that was my dad. My dad isn't around. They never bothered to let him know that I was born. I have to live with Aunt so-and-so and Uncle so-and-so, and I'm not even their kid. They just picked me up at an orphanage. They wanted a girl.
They wanted a girl. Yeah. Do they ever address who his mother may be?
She's just dead.
Is she dead?
She's dead. No, he says that my mother died and they never bothered to find my dad and tell him.
Got it. Okay, they do. I wondered if I was listening for it and didn't hear it, if there was ever a line that addresses a mother.
I have a memory of this movie from when I was a kid, and I was waiting for this moment, and it didn't show up in the movie, where somebody, a swords guy, had swords hidden in the thatching of his roof, of his thatched roof. And I thought that was in this movie. It must be some other movie. But I distinctly remember him reaching into the thatching and being like, these are illegal. And he had a sword.
I wonder what movie that's from. I don't remember that. The birds pushing the sword up through the
what amazing
tower.
Puppets.
But you just see this sword like working through the window. And then he finds it in the morning and pulls it out of there, but not that. I don't remember the thatching of.
Maybe it was Conan. Maybe it's Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got these crossed, because man, that's like a great movie. Have you ever seen Conan the Barbarian?
Someone will tell us. No,
it's great. It's fantastic. No. It's genuinely a great movie, and this is not. So as we said, 60 minutes of exposition that keeps coming back at any given moment. It gets the final moments of the movie feel like exposition. And we gotta talk about the weirdness.
Which weirdness?
I mean, he has to ride a man's beard through the cosmos.
I love it. It's so cool.
I hope you were on drugs.
When I was watching it? No, I mean, it's like the 80s movies are weird. 80s movies shot in several countries are going to be weird. It's weird.
It's a lot weirder
I love
than
it.
the 80s movies are weird.
I just love, I mean, first of all, I think this is so etched in my childhood that I just have like warm and fuzzy feelings for it that can't be touched.
Okay.
As Ray was watching it, it was very much like, this is very creepy. And then the head just like flies out of the planet.
Yep.
Like it's not even like it flies through some weird cosmos. And then
past galaxies.
It flies through like cells and DNA and like
microorganisms and nightmare
and
shit.
into this funnel cloud.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, in the description of the movie, it describes the land of far away as millions of miles away.
Clearly.
So just like a journey through space and time.
Yep. He goes to a land far, far away in a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I love that sequence. I think it's so weird.
It's extremely
giant
weird.
head.
And then he
flying through.
Yeah, and just imagine holding on to some like giant head's gross beard.
Yeah. He like came out of a bottle. So this is like, for me, when I revisited this, I was shocked how many parallels there were to Harry Potter, which I guess like it's a typical sort of hero's journey.
My wife and I were saying the same thing last night, but yeah, it's all hero's journey.
It does feel
He's got
like
a cloak of
J.K.
invisibility.
Rowling. That's the
That's
big
a big
one.
one.
Yeah, once you get to that, it's like, oh wow. And then the like bearded man who introduces him to this magical world, which like was very Hagrid to me, even though he's not as much of a character.
I was gonna say.
That's a little more of a
I was gonna
reach.
say
The cloak
also
is
like
like spot
the
on.
villain whose name we can't speak, because that comes up once in the movie. Like,
Right.
don't even think his name.
Yeah, right. And then whenever he does say Carto, like you get this gust of wind that comes in, and it's like
Oh yeah.
very menacing.
Carter.
So, and there's a prophecy.
And the prophecy.
That there's
Yes.
a son of a king
Yes.
who will go and, with his companion, kill Kato.
One day a king's son went riding through the moonlight. He rode through the forest of mysteries, accompanied by a single friend on a beautiful white horse.
Yeah.
I have a question about that. Everybody's been
Yeah.
waiting for this kid to show up, and the prophecy is son of a king. Is
Yeah.
his dad not the son of a king?
Okay, I have a whole set of issues with his dad. I feel like
I've been looking
if
for
this
you.
prophecy,
Standing around
yeah.
this castle in Crimea is what you've been doing.
The only reason that he's been looking for this kid is he's like, yeah, that sounds like a dangerous journey. I'm not really interested in it. I'm gonna like fly to Earth, make sure a kid is born, and eventually I'm gonna look for him. Eventually he'll find me, and we'll send him off to do it. Because this kid walks into the castle after being here for like 2 days or like 24 hours. It's a very short period of time, and Dad's like, "I found you. I've been looking for you, my son, my son." And he's like, yo, I'm 9, but I'm going to just like ride off into this magical, what is it? The Forest of Mysteries?
Forest of Mysteries. Behind which
Is that
is the
cool?
land outside, which I
Yeah. And his dad's basically like, yeah. Go ahead.
Are you not worried
Go.
for me, father?
Yeah,
no,
go
I'm
right
not
ahead.
worried for you.
Are you worried about me riding into the Forest of Mysteries at night?
No. Why? Should I be?
Yeah, but be aware that if you go a little too far, there's the land outside, and like, ugh, not a good place to
I
be.
cast
Okay,
into
see you
outer
later.
darkness.
Like his dad has this like permanent dewy-eyed smile on his face, and it's just like, oh God, I've been waiting for you to get here, so I do not have to take this on.
3, 2, 1. Switch to actor 2, 4. And now I can deliver my lines, which is how the movie is shot and edited. When I say that, like, they just left the handles in every edit or something, it's so hard to watch as a person who's ever even touched an editing suite. Like, it was killing me to get through that. Did you ever see, there's like a little talk about writing that Trey Parker did where he was talking about the process behind making South Park and how, like, they put all these story beats up, and at every beat it has to go, blah, 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 blah happens. But then, or therefore. But like anytime there's a beat where in between it says and, they throw away the beat because we don't need any ands. This story is and. And it's like how a 3-year-old tells a story. I actually said to my wife, I was like, this is like this is a movie that our 8-year-old daughter would have written.
Well, and I think that's why kids like it, right? Because it's like, Dad has no feelings, emotions, words of caution, anything. It's like how you expect a parent to react when you go to them as a kid and you're like, I have this amazing idea, I'm going to do this. And your parent's like, well, and you're like, it takes the air out of the room. But the parent never goes, well, he's like, yes, that is a great idea. And as a kid, you're like, all right.
I'm going on the adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, this adventure is warranted.
Yum Yum doesn't get a sword?
Yum Yum
Not even a hammer.
is...
He gets nothing. We go to the swordsmith. There's swords everywhere. Yum Yum get a sword? No.
Yum Yum is a religious fanatic. He is like,
It's true.
This prophecy says I will go with you, and like, I will die. This is what's supposed to happen. I'm going.
Does he die?
No,
Okay. I
but
don't remember that.
he's willing. He's about to. He's in the tower, and he's basically like, you can get out. I'm stuck here. I hope that you win.
Oh, wow. I blanked out on that for some reason.
Yeah, because Mio's like, no, we'll die together, and Yum Yum's basically like, you have to finish this.
It's very serious business.
He's his loyal counterpart.
We found out that there's an Engstrom in the cast. And I asked in our Discord for how to drink because I was looking at the newspapers on the floor and I was like, is this a Swedish thing? Because I know we have one of our members is prominently Swedish. And they're like, kinda, not really. But then it occurred to me that maybe you grew up with this movie because it's super duper Swedish. And are you super duper Swedish, or are you just like distantly
I am,
Swedish?
yeah.
How,
So my dad's 100%.
how far back
and
do
my
you have
mom,
to go before you know people who speak Swedish?
on my dad's side of the family, my great-grandparents.
Okay, so that's distantly Swedish.
But my grandmother was like very Swedish cooking. Like I did a whole cooking session with her, learned how to make lefska. Like she had a lot of traditions.
Meatballs
that
and
she still-
lingonberries.
Yeah. And then on my mom's side, my grandmother's mother.
Do you do glug at Christmas?
Yeah, glug. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was expecting my mom to have some story about it being connected to that, but no, not in the slightest.
I have an uncle by marriage. Who is Swedish from Sweden, Lars. And I thought maybe it came with him. Maybe like he was like, "Oh, here for your nephew, like this movie." But 87, I probably saw it when it came out. Yeah, I saw it when it came out. And I don't know where it came from. I don't think it was ever connected with Lars. I don't even know if Lars was in the picture yet, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. She might have been between bows at that point. Because I vividly remember the first fiance. He was cool. He had a Jeep, but apparently he was not cool. Apparently this guy was no good. But as a kid, he had a Jeep, and he
had a Jeep. That's all
and
you
he had
need.
this thing on the dashboard that when you pushed it, it made like rocket sounds and lasers and stuff like that, which of course I loved. And actually, my first movie, my aunt and her fiance took me to go see The Abyss. So that's like the first movie I remember seeing in the theater. Totally appropriate for a 5-year-old.
Yeah. You know, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio was at my sister's baby shower.
Ooh, yes.
My dad was in theater in Chicago, and he did a play with her.
That's awesome.
They were friends for a period of time.
No.
Well, I never knew her, so not long enough.
Oh, yeah, true. You lost out on that connect.
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't be a Nepo baby. Damn it. You lost your opportunity. You know, just real quickly about Nepo babies, because when we were recording the Why We Got Fired thing and talking about money and stuff like that, and them inviting us to do it for free, I did have a thought that, like, you know, you don't even need to be a Nepo baby for that to be a factor in your career in Hollywood, because, like, so much of it is dependent on you being able to work for no money. I don't know if that's still the case, but, like, to PA for no money, to intern for no money, and, like, full-time for no money. And like that's only available to people of certain means.
And there's even at the mid tier of those jobs, there's a like, you're gonna put in this overtime, but you're not gonna put it on your time card, right? Wink, wink. Like it's not no money, but you are giving all of your time for little money. Like the grind is hard, and most people never truly get out.
Well, you can't even. But my point is, it's not even an option unless you have somebody else to pay your bills or some other fund to pay your bills.
That's right. Unless you are a person who can give free time, then of course you get your name gets passed around. This person's a team player. Yada yada yada.
And all of those people.
If you can't afford that, you're an asshole.
All of those people who were using free time made this movie, as you can.
Yeah. And it worked out for Christian Bale.
Yes, it did. It did. The end of the movie, I was dying laughing. It was like, as we were going to bed, I was still quoting it to Meg. When he's just like, sometimes I wonder what my aunt and my uncle are doing.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I've never gone home and I'm here with my father, whom I love.
Whom I love so much. And who loves me so much.
Who is perfect.
Who is perfect. And I'm in his arms, and he's got his arms around me.
That's how it is. Bo Wilhelm Olsen is in the land of far away. And is very, very happy with his father.
And I love him, by the way. And it's wonderful. And they're in Stockholm, suffering.
Aunt Edna probably thinks I'm still sitting on that park bench.
Nobody ever at any point said, that's enough. That's enough. We've said it. We shouldn't have even said it, but we've said it, and now we're saying it 10 times. My God.
Sweet little boy. I have a question about the end of the movie, not about that monologue, but they cut away after he like releases the stone heart as a bird.
Yep.
They cut away to all the birds coming back, turning back into
children.
children.
There are way fewer children than birds. Is that where you're going?
No, where I'm going is there's this dead bird lying on a rock,
yeah.
and it turns into a girl, but you never see the girl move.
I assume she's dead.
You think she's dead? I wondered if you thought that she was still dead or alive, and I was like, "Oh, that's dark."
Yeah, I think she's dead. And also, this has been thousands of years, so I don't know if all of these people are immortal or not. Certainly a lot of them seem to be immortal. Like the king seems immortal.
Yeah.
Like most of these people seem to be immortal in the land of far away.
Yeah, over thousands of years, there were like 24 children in this kingdom.
Yeah, but the other thing I noticed is that like there are way more birds than kids. In that last shot, there's like 30 kids, but there are hundreds of birds. So my theory is that like maybe some bigger kids turned into multiple birds and then they refused back into one kid.
I love how you have a theory on that.
It's my apologism for the discrepancy there.
It's so funny. What were you? I know you're saying this is a bad movie. This is a bad movie, but like, I mean, I was expecting a bad movie.
I knew.
And so it was just sort of joyfully bad for me, not like, oh God, bad.
I put it on when I got the DVD from you. I was like, oh, let's try to watch this. And 10 minutes in, I was like, I don't have the stomach for this. We're going to not watch this. And that was the last time I tried to watch it. I knew what to expect. Megan, she was like, oh, this must have come out in the 70s. And I was like, nah. She's like, 87? Why does it look like this? I was like, Soviet film stocks. Like, remember The Witches? Like, it looks like The Witches. Like, European movies, I don't know what they were using for film stock and cameras and stuff, like ingenue lenses and whatever. But, like, it has a very different non-Hollywood look. And it sucks.
Yeah.
Visually, this movie is like, I don't even want to see this.
Yeah. I guess also it helped that I was watching it on YouTube, so I was just sort of like, whatever quality I can scrape up here.
That was sort of baked into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. It's a rough movie to watch.
Yeah, it's not really one I'd even recommend. It is funny. I think we're talking about it because we both have such a connection to it, and it's been such a part of like our connection. That I know
something we share. So beautiful.
It is something we share, but that like this is the podcast to talk about that type of stuff. I don't know if we'll ever talk about something quite this obscure again. And it's not that we're encouraging people to go out and watch it necessarily.
I encourage you not to. I would expend no effort.
It is incredible that it exists. It is incredible that it stars Christian Bale.
It's crazy. What's weird is that some people appear both in our world and the land of far away for some reason.
Just him.
No, Eno too.
Oh, Eno
because
too,
he's like the guy with the beating the rugs. And I thought maybe the sweet shop girl might show up in both.
Well, she's like, she serves the role to sort of deliver him to, like, why did it take 9 years for her to just like give him the apple and send him to his father?
She's been waiting for him.
Wait a minute, Buster. I was expecting you. Would you like an apple?
They never really explain for a movie with so much exposition. They just are like, nah, that's fine. We don't need to explain that.
It's bad exposition all the way through. They explain things you don't need explained, and they ignore things that a little answer would have been nice. And it's so much exposition, so much.
Yes, like the bread that satisfies all hunger.
Yeah, could solve all fucking problems with this shit.
I know.
How much of it do I need to eat to satisfy all hunger? Because there was like a point later when they're trapped and they're like, if only we had some of the bread. They gave that dude a whole fucking loaf of this magic bread.
Half of it, yeah. It seems easy to come by if you're outside the castles.
Yeah, we just call this the bread that satisfies all hunger. Go nuts.
We call it bread to satisfy all hunger.
We make it all the time. Also, like when he's going back again too, they're coming up on that well, the well of whispers. And they're like, is it time? Is it time? Not yet. Time for what? You'll see. All the kids just keep saying, you'll see. And like, dude, they're going to fucking kill this kid. There's some serious threats. I don't like that. You'll see.
You'll see.
As soon as somebody says, you'll see, I'm running. I am leaving very fast.
It's like once a day it tells his prophecy. Is that the idea?
I don't know. I thought it just told it when he showed up or something. Or maybe, it tells it that once a day. It's 11:30 a.m. It's time for the 11:30 prophesizing. Yeah, let's go. We got to get down to the prophecy well and listen to the prophecy again. It's like 1984, The 2 Minutes Hate or whatever.
Well, in the lineup of weird fantasy films from the 80s, yeah.
I've never seen Krull.
Ever
seen that one?
Krull? No, I haven't even heard of that one.
It's a semi-famous box cover. But anyway, we don't need to talk about Krull now. Neither of us have seen it.
Willow. This is like in a Willow space.
Willow, man. I bought the extended edition of that. My kid was real into it for a hot minute, but we didn't make it all the way through. The director's cut of that is very long and very good, I've heard. He made that movie so that he could give little people work because they were so vital to him in Star Wars. And so he was like, let's make a movie just for you guys where you're all on camera, not in costumes. And that was really the function of Willow. George likes to give back, you know? He likes to give back.
Was the character who was the main character in Star Wars?
Return of the Jedi. He's Wicket, which is like the main Ewok.
Got it.
And then all of the Ewoks are little people. And then also, I forget his name, but there's a person inside of R2-D2 a lot of times who is a little person.
I didn't
obviously.
know that.
And probably a lot of the other droids too, you know? Those battery droids, they probably have a little person inside them. Hey, do you know why we call little people?
Why?
Because of Billy Barty, who was, I don't think he was the head of the Actors Guild, but he was an important person in the Actors Guild. And do you know who Billy Barty is?
No.
A little person who has been working since the pre-code days in the 30s and continued to work right up until the 80s. He's in so many things. He did so much voice work. And also he is Figment on the original Journey into Imagination.
Oh, no kidding.
And a lot of voices.
Dreamfinder, I'm just right.
So if you ever hear that voice, like, did you ever see Masters of the Universe with Frank Langella and Dolph Lundgren? It's the live action He-Man movie that I saw in the theater when it came out that I adored. He's in that. He plays Orlo, the wizard, or something like that. He's in a lot of things. Yeah, one of the most prolific actors. But he came up with the name Little People. So,
Little People.
And I don't think Mr. Billy Barty should be forgotten.
No, I'm glad he's immortalized.
What's interesting is that he was a child actor too. Like he was working as a child, as a little person. So there's like these movies in the 30s where he's playing a baby who can like a naughty baby who can like tear women's clothes off and stuff. It's great. Yeah, like he runs around with a cigar and like undresses women and stuff like that in these musical.
I'm immediately thinking of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the
very likely an inspiration point.
Yeah, sure.
He didn't have a lot of lines, but like I'm thinking Busby Berkeley musicals, that happens a lot where like, he's the cheeky kid, but like he's very tiny because he's a little person and a child at that point in his career. What was it? It's Pettin' in the Park or something like that is the one where it's a musical number in a Busby Berkeley flick where all the girls are changing. The Koreans are changing because it's rain. And then he starts hoisting up the curtain that they're changing behind and stuff. They're very saucy films. They gave something for the boys. They knew what they were doing back then, I'll tell you. They knew how to put the butts in the seats, you know. Let's see a little leg, yeah.
We'll have to add that clip. I want to add clips.
Go nuts, girl.
I know that's going to take longer.
That's on
but
you. I want to just release them.
You gotta see it. Especially with episodes like this, where like nobody's gonna go watch this movie. I want to at least show them what we're talking about. Should we get out of this episode?
I think this episode
because now we're just I think it's cached.
That was Mio in the Land of Far Away.
Mio in the land. Mio, my Mio.
Yeah.
Yeah. That dad. Oof.
Yes, son. Welcome home.
Now that we've talked about it, I am convinced that he was just passing down his burden.
He's a son. I mean, either he's the son of a king, or he's a conquering king, and he just like forged that kingdom by violence.
I just think he came to Earth, got a woman pregnant, waited 9 years.
I wanted to talk about that. Did you ever see Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes.
Yeah. Ego.
Is this
Ego, the bad guy in that movie, is Peter Quill's dad, and he goes to Earth in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And gives her cancer, and then goes back to outer space and waits for his son to arrive. It's like the same thing. So maybe Mio's dad had that cancer come.
Cancer. Oh, harsh.
And we're out.
Harsh. That's it. We just got to find a button like that to end on. Bye. Digest that one for a little while.
Guys, this has been Midnight Local. You got to like and subscribe. This episode will be available everywhere you get your podcasts. I'm Greg, and
yeah, I'm Meredith.
Bang on cue.
I'm still thinking that one's going to resonate in my head for a little while.
Cancer come.
Oof.
We'll be back with another episode of Midnight Local Far too soon. Way sooner than you're prepared for.
And we will likely be talking about something that you have a little bit more context for. This one was for us.
Cancer come.
So glad I'm gay.
Goodbye.